Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. And this is part two of a two-part mini series. Oh, whoops. We're doing it live. That's how you know we're doing it live. I was trying to do something else there, and I accidentally drove my face off. Okay, so um, this is part two of the tier list live stream. For those of you that don't know, I do this every 6 months, roughly. I do a live stream. I rank every Pokemon that is in the game. And then I let chat try to convince me to change some things and have some of the chat's input. Don't know how much impact it's really going to have, but we'll see. This is part two. Hope you all are enjoying. You can see chat down in the bottom left of your screen. I'll expand them here so that it's a bit more readable because it matters a bit more for this one. Last 6 months ago when I did this last time, we had some discussions. But yeah, this is the tier list and the way that it landed after I kind of went through. Now, I will say my placements of all the Pokemon in the game kind of depend upon how I'm feeling, if we're completely honest. I'm sure if I did this tomorrow night, I'd have a different. If I didn't have this one on screen in front of me, it'd probably end up looking different. Our annual, biannual holiday, the Raptor tier list. I like that referral to it. But anyway, I'm going to expand chat here as well. Once again, so that it is visible because it matters a bit more for this portion of the stream. But this is recorded and uploaded after the fact. I do take down the VODs because I want to encourage people watching the videos. So, thank you for everyone that's tuning in. And let's just start. I need to go through some of your comments. So, okay. Justice for Togekiss, gambling is fun. So, one of the things that I commented was Togekiss. It's not very optimal in my opinion. It's very fun. Gambling is very fun. But if you want to optimize, it's not the Pokemon to really run. Any comments about that? I don't know. Justice for the Evolutions minus Leafeon and Umbreon, they're in a good spot. Flareon and Glaceon, I'm guessing, are the big ones that you're. Oh, and Vaporeon. Vaporeon was probably a controversial one. Espeon and Jolteon are probably the. I don't know. How is Skeleturge below Cress? /S. Nice one there. Call back to last year. Skeleturge being all over the place and the most controversial thing ever. Okay, Luxray and Meowscarada being S for their ingredient versatility, I think awards Aggron a similar spot. In essence, it is great for sausage and coffee, or higher A at least. I can see the case with the versatility, but the bigger reason why I put them up in S tier was because they have a really nice synergistic skill for leveling meals, those specific meals in off weeks. And also, it's kind of a nice skill in general for ingredient specialists. Meanwhile, well, I guess energizing self-recharge is nice on Aggron as well. I don't know. I kind of go back and forth on. It just doesn't feel right to put it above like Vikavolt when the biggest thing is like sausage, and sausage is kind of fallen off, and coffee Vikavolt does better for. So I still think they kind of belong up there, primarily for their main skill being synergistic, was the primary thing I was going for with that. Given that Cresselia is top of S, which I agree, I feel that Espeon should be an A because of Crespeon is bananas. I agree, but I didn't want to consider legendary synergies. Like, if you have a Crest, then Espeon actually deserves to be very high in the charts if you have a Cresselia. The problem is most people don't have a Cresselia. So I felt like I really shouldn't consider that when designing this tier list. Will there be an updated Raptor BFS list done too? Yeah, I could actually update that real easily, honestly. It doesn't take that long. I'm going to wait till Shuckle gets released for that. Oh, which, by the way, I'll discuss Shuckle here. Shuckle speculation. We know the details about what Shuckle does. We don't know how good it's going to be at that, but my guess is it's energy for everyone. I don't think it's going to be as good of healing, and it's not a combination of healing and Berry Burst like Cresselia is. But what it can do is going to be like a neat little niche sort of thing with the berry juice. I think that's a neat thing. I'm going to guess that it's going to land probably solidly in A, because my guess is they're going to make it not very good for overall healing to begin with. But we'll see. That's all dependent upon its stats. If it's comparable to other energy for everyone healers, then no doubt it is going to be up in S tier as well. But as of right now, it's like, eh. We don't know. We don't know because we don't have the stats, so I can't really place it on the tier list. There will be no justice for Vaporeon. It will come out during Packed Portion Week and stay boxed until then. Packed Portion Week. Also, I ran it during Super Skills Week once, but I haven't invested... Did I invest any main skills? I don't think I invested any main skill season because I had skill level PEM. F tier Shardmons being below Wobbuffet is reaching, in my opinion. Shards are still useful. Yeah, but I can't justify the investment, and Wobbuffet isn't really as bad as people think. If you run the numbers on it, we'll see how much this is actually you guys changing my opinions versus me defending my opinions. The goal is to have me change one placement. You can have me change one placement, then you specifically won. I'm not saying that I'm not open to changing my mind. I am open to changing my mind and changing this, but I do think through this, as you could see in the, 2-hour-long video. No, so Wobbuffet and the Shardmons, Wobbuffet actually really isn't that bad for Energizing Cheer, and Energizing Cheer does have some value. Meanwhile, the Persian and Holiday Hat Eevee, yes, it does provide some value, but, there's nothing that these guys can do that Swalot and Sableye and Lucario can't do. Meanwhile, there is something that these guys can do that Gardevoir can't. And that's just because it spot heals. They target the lowest energy Pokemon. If you have one Pokemon that's lower energy than the rest, that is more likely to get hit than just spreading it equally across the team, which can be more valuable in some niche scenarios. Which I think is a bit more valuable than what these guys can do, which is just significantly worse. The biggest gap in productivity of, anything in the entire game is, the gap between the Persian's productivity and the Swalots. Okay, I need to catch up a little bit more. Butterfree should be considered better than Walrein. Only Bugberrymon. Higher trigger rate for the same skill. I know it's got a lower trigger rate. I don't know what its net productivity of the skill is, though, because speed also plays a factor in that, and Butterfree definitely has a faster frequency than Walrein, if I'm right. But I know it has a lower trigger rate, because Butterfree has, I believe, the lowest trigger rate of any Pokemon in the game. Any fully evolved Pokemon in the game, except for Beware. I think Beware is the actual lowest. Okay, and Walrein's outclassed by Ice by Ninetales. That is very true. That is very true. Honestly, yeah, maybe Walrein should dip down a little bit. Where's Butterfree at? It's bottom of B tier. Maybe Butterfree should rise. Actually, that's... Yeah, I'll make... Well, but Butterfree is outclassed by Salamence. And in a world where you have access to both, it is a similar difference. But I guess specific type berries, not just island berries, which that might come into play more depending upon how the other expert islands are built. But really right now, having a specific type berry is only really valuable at Greengrass Expert, which I really wasn't thinking much about when I was building this. So... I might be swayed by that with more convincing arguments. I'll say that. Get that some Pokemon are difficult to hunt, but which ones is worth invest if you get a good one? Murkrow? You would need to get a really, really solid... in my opinion, you would need to get something... You have to kind of build around Murkrow. It's difficult to use. I feel like the extra helpful mons should all be bumped up a little. My alt got to your Arcanine early, and he Improves everybody's productivity by leaps and bounds. So the skill feels underrated. I can see it, but I also just... I feel like the skill is most powerful on a berry specialist or an ingredient specialist. It's actually really good on Spiritomb and on Ninetales, but it does proc a lot less because of that reasoning. Those are not skills mons. If they have Berry Finding S, they can be a little bit better, but you know what? Honestly, Arcanine, if you have a Berry Finding S1, it's probably more reasonable in just investment than Arbok. And even the random ingredient pulls on those guys and that guy. Actually, I'd probably like him more than Dugtrio or even Clefable. So actually, you know what? I'll move him up quite a bit. And would I go for Jolteon over Banette or Primeape? You know what, after thinking about it, yeah, probably. But I don't think Jolteon's going above C tier. Gallade, on the other hand, where is Gallade? Gallade was the one that I struggled to place. Honestly, when I said I don't have any experience running Gallade, I don't have any experience running any of the extra help Pokemon much at all. I run a little bit of Arcanine, but mostly for Entei synergy. I'll leave it where it's at for now. Darkrai, Espeon up a tier. Definitely not Darkrai. I can't justify that. It's not... It seems good because it's mythical. That's the biggest thing. Okay, Espeon... No, I don't. I also don't think so. Because if you run the numbers, it's actually very, very comparable to Sudowoodo. So if I moved Espeon up, I'd also have to move up Sudowoodo. Flygon is similar value to Gourgeist in that they can make the top meals of each meal type for the expanded pots, but pumpkins can also make the best non-EXP curry. Or non-good camp ticket, I think you mean. That's true. But also, Flygon makes 2 of the top meals versus 1, which I think that just makes it more valuable. Dedenne is the only 60-mon Pipmon that is worth the hunt. I would agree with that. But it's not worth the hunt if it's Christmas. If it's Christmas on Holiday Spiel, then go back to hunting Dedenne after Christmas. Or if it's getting close to Christmas. Okay, Umbreon should be a bit higher in F, if only because of the absurdly high crit chance, helping the party a bit. When will the devs give buffs justice for my favorite mon? I don't know, because if I moved it up, I'd also have to move up Togedemaru, and I can't, because Togedemaru has more energy recovery than Umbreon, and that's really the only thing Umbreon's doing. And I don't think Togedemaru is better than the other the bad shard farmers. Okay. Gotta move up Halloween Hat Eevee as it's Vaporeon that makes pumpkins. Is it really that close? Okay, for this one, I'm actually going to break out... I'm actually going to break out production comparison now. Because I just didn't want that for the initial one. But I do need to actually see, like, fact-check these numbers you guys are giving me. Because do you know how rarely I've run the comparison on this? It's 2 Pokemon I do not care about to ever use. So, let's see. How does it actually compare in skill procs? It's significantly worse. That's a whole extra proc per day more. Like, yeah, it's not the exact same. Yeah, the pumpkins are more valuable, but I think if you're running it for the ingredient magnet, and I think Vaporeon's just a better option. Okay. Mine only gives pumpkins when my Arcanine triggers him. Oh, okay. Yeah. When he triggers his skill. Dedenne above Sceptile. I'd like Tasty Chance over the Ultimate Generalist. Yeah, but there's nothing really that can compete with a Sceptile. Like, Dedenne, yes, nothing competes with it, but there are multiple options. And honestly, Dedenne is also dependent upon making... Like, Tasty Chance is dependent upon making a strong meal. But you also can get the effects of Tasty Chance on berry specialists. If this were when Tasty Chance was first released and cooking had similar power back then, I would probably put Dedenne a little bit higher, just because it was the only option until Weavile came around. But given that we now have the Swampert, given that there is the Holiday Spiel, I think that there's... And Swampert is actually really, really solid for it. Cramorant is even... Actually, Cramorant was the first other Tasty Chance option. Forgot about that. Cramorant is a lot better for it than you'd think. I can say firsthand from actually using it that it procs a lot more than you would think. So much so that I almost considered tossing it in S tier. That was one that I was on the fence about also. Okay, just joined. Apologies if I missed the explanation, but I think Victory Bell is criminally low when tomatoes appear in high tier dishes of all three meal types. It's pretty high in that regard, but there's just a lot of options for tomatoes. And most notably Luxray, which I think does it pretty well. Granted, you can use... Like, there's just so many options for tomatoes, and that's something that I did consider when building the, this tier list. Like, I put Farfetch'd really high, because it really is the only great option for leeks. Meanwhile, for tomatoes, you have Victory Bell, you have Mr. Mime, you have Luxray, you even have Doug Trio to an extent. Like, there's a lot of different options for tomatoes. And even ABB Venusaur, if it lands right. But, like, Farfetch, there's nothing else for leeks. Agron and Vikavolt are both kind of up here because outside of Plusle being weird, they're the only options for coffee. Clodsire sucks for coffee. Don't really consider that. Jolteon has Raikou Synergy to boost it a bit. Not quite enough to bump it up a tier in my mind. And also, Raikou Synergy, once again, same thing with Espeon. I don't want to consider it for the tier list because most players won't have that. Why is Altaria so low? Is it just because it's outclassed by Salamence? No, because it actually isn't that great of a berry specialist. I would struggle to be willing to invest into an Altaria unless it has really, really phenomenal stats. It also is outclassed by Butterfree. Because as of right now, there really isn't that much of a difference between Pokemon that share the same island, but different berries. There is technically at the Expert Mode application, but that's so rare. And Expert Mode's kind of a weird, unique thing to handle. But if you actually run Pokedex comparisons, let's just take a look here. Pokemon type, or specialty, berries, fully evolved. If we look at... Oh, wait. I remember there's a thing now. Where's the berry? No, it's Snorlax. You can actually just click select all berries now. I'm so happy with that. If we look at, like, the total strength comparison and sort by total strength, Altaria is... Where is Altaria? Higher than I thought? Hold up. What's my energy settings here? What are my energy settings? Because it really shouldn't be that high from everything I know. Okay, wait. This should also be 0. Where are the energy settings? Gosh darn it. They moved... You know what? Screw it. I'm going back to Legacy. I actually know what this is. Okay, 500... That is my energy settings. Why is Altaria showing up that much? I don't remember Altaria being that good. Oh, wait. Is it... Steelix? What is going on here? There's some sort of setting that I am missing. Does somebody know? Energy's near the bottom. In regards to my... Okay. The reason Altaria is somewhat better on Amber Canyon is because Dragon Berries are ridiculously high value. 2 are about the same level. Remember, though, frequency also plays a role into things. Something can have a ridiculously high value berry, but if it procs so rare, like if it's super slow, it doesn't matter that its berry is very high value because it's not giving you that berry as often. That's the biggest thing holding it back. But I don't remember it coming in this high. Like... What is always max energy? It's not an energy thing going on. Oh, wait a minute. I know exactly what it is. It's cooking. Cooking is the... That's what it is. and have a meal selected. Yep, yep. I noticed it right before you said it, or right before I saw it, at least in chat. There we go. This is more the numbers that I'm used to seeing. Yep, there it is. Okay. Altaria. Actually, numerically, worse than Primate, worse than Halloween Hat Pika. Which, honestly, looking at this comparison now, I think I rated Halloween Hat Pika a bit too highly. Maybe, wait, what if I put skill level at 3? Yeah, I rated Halloween Hat Pika a little bit too highly. Looking at this, I just convinced myself to change. This is why I didn't start running comparisons, because it... Yeah, A tier is a bit too high for that. It is favored at a nice island, but, like, it's below Houndoom for productivity. I'm gonna rank it better than Houndoom, because at least it's got a nicer island. A more useful island, but not by that much. Not so much that it brings it above, like, Walrein. In fact, Houndoom actually should be worse than Butter. Well, wait a minute, but my reasoning for that is because it wants main skill levels, which, when you put the main skill seeds into it, it is better than Xatu. So, I mean... Houndoom's weird. Because it wants main skill seeds. Because of that, I'm still going to put that guy there, but... I'm interested. Does it perform better than Walrein when you put the main skill seeds? It does! Houndoom is better than Walrein when you put main skill seeds into it at level 65, in case you didn't know. Or at level 100. Level 100 does make it fall off a bit more. Because main skill level versus berry level. But anyway. Conservative energy settings from the look of it, which case Altera's skill is relevant. Oh, I always use conservative. I do want it to account for it in some way. In most circumstances, I like to have at least some sort of estimation. And I like to use my Palmot, because I feel like it's closer to most people's actual healer. But we'll go back to the new layout, because I don't want to... I do need to learn it. I need to give up on the... Because they do want to get rid of the legacy layout. They've said that it will be removed sometime in the future, so I do need to learn this. Oh, wait, it's here. Wait, no, it's not. This is a very distracted thing. Anyway, anyone have any more convincing comments? Victory Bell is near identical to Luxray in terms of tomatoes. Luxray is technically better, but not by much. Yeah, but it's not just Luxray, and also the reasoning why Luxray is placed so highly is because it also has nice synergy with the main skill. And Luxray also has a bit more versatility of also having oil options as well. Which, granted, if you're using a Luxray for oil, then you're not going to be using it for tomatoes, most likely. So then, like, that falls back upon Mr. Mime, Victory Bell. But also, I think Mr. Mime's a more fun Pokemon, having skill copy, than Victory Bell. I'm surprised not seeing more people complain about the Mr. Mime placement. But anyway... Said Butterfree wouldn't move up because of Salamence, but then why are Walrein, Ninetales, and Meganium so high? Wait a minute. Oh, also, fun fact. Here's what you guys... I didn't even discuss this at all. This was the community ranked one. Okay, but first, Butterfree wouldn't move up because of Salamence, then why are Walrein, Ninetales, and Meganium so high? Just because they do have actual decent production... Like, Meganium is actually quite a bit of a top tier, or it was top tier before, it made it difficult to justify investment after, like, Sceptile came out. But at the same time, like, if you compare Meganium to Butterfree, there's a decent difference here in terms of the raw outputs. Even if it is at a better island, like, and the gap between Butterfree and Salamence might be the... I don't know what the gap between Meganium and... Well, I guess I can see if I were to put skill specialists in here as well. Although, to be fair to them, to be fair to everything, we'll just put it all at max level. Let's see. Here's a funny thing. Mimikyu and Braviary. They really did... I still don't understand that buff decision. But anyway, there's about 25k difference between... versus Salamence to... Where's stinking Butterfree? Way down... 61k. I guess there's a lot closer difference between Salamence and Butterfree, but also this is assuming that you put full main skill seeds into Butterfree. Don't do that. Don't put main skill seeds into a Butterfree. It doesn't proc its skill enough to be worth it. You'd have to have like some crazy good Butterfree to even think about that. Anyway, 67k versus 61k. I mean, I guess that is a lot closer than it looks, but also remember, if you're using the Berry Specialist, you're going to be using that base. Which, if that's the case, it's 67k versus... Where was that again? It moves them all around every time because it sorts by strength. 57. So I guess there is more of a difference between Sceptile and Meganium, although not without the main skill seed investment, honestly. However, with that, I mean, yeah, I still think it does kind of belong more down there because, like I said, the Walrein and Ninetales being used in a more general sense. Ninetales is also pretty close to Typhlosion, like closer than even the Salamence and Butterfree and the Ninetales and Sceptile comparison. But what was that one? Sorry. Oh, we're talking about Cantonian Nine. No, not that. Walrein. That's the one I wanted to look at. Walrein produces more general strength than Butterfree, so that's kind of, they're more useful in a general sense. You don't have meals enabled when looking at this view. Okay. Did someone bring up strength carryover from pod expansion for Monday meals? Yes, that is a tactic, but strength carryover Strength carryover is a weird tactic and very, very... It does have potential. It does have a lot of power, but also... I guess there are other forms of strength carryover that you theoretically can accomplish. That's probably the most widespread one. I personally am not a very big fan of it. Mostly because it depends upon you getting the crit Monday morning for the most strength. And I don't like unreliable things, and even 80% accuracy is not that reliable. And that's the best you can get. Under best circumstances, you get 80% chance of getting that crit. And if that makes the difference between... Even if it makes the difference between 1 million strength and 2 million strength, I don't want to feel that difference. Although I guess numerically, if you can get 1 million strength in a single meal, then still go with it. But I don't think you can... I don't think that's even possible. So, there are some things there. I don't know how much the extra pod expansion actually adds up to realistically actually provide more strength than just running good camp ticket and just making the strongest meal and just getting that alone. Okay, it feels weird seeing Crustle and B and Flygon and S after hearing so many people say when they released that they basically made the same output. The thing is, they make the same output assuming main skill seed investment and assuming similar... And there's a lot of assumptions made when you actually make the comparison, because Crustle, in a vacuum, Crustle, Flygon, no sub-skills, makes similar comparison, makes similar strength, or similar amounts of avocados. And I can show that off here real quick. Darn it, just... Random-X has been weird these days. Let's see. If you give them no sub-skills and natures, it's pretty comparable. Actually, it looks better on the Crustle here. Oh, no, that's bugged fairies. Okay. 38.31 plus 26, that's 38 plus, we'll say 27 because the decimal, roughly 65. It's actually a little bit better than the Flygon. But also, you're investing a bunch of main skill seeds. Flygon doesn't take that, doesn't draw that away. Additionally, it doesn't assume sub-skills, which is probably the bigger deal. Let's give them equivalent rarity sub-skills of, say, Ingredient Finding and Help Speed M. Now, Crustle, what's producing more avocados? Interestingly here, it's the Ingredient Finding. So if you want to boost its Ingredient Finding more, you're going to have to use Ingredient Finding M and Help Speed M, because the skill trigger actually doesn't produce as much, like, comparatively for the avocado productivity. And then when you assume similar usable rarity sub-skills, 59 plus 30. So I think now you're looking at 89 versus 96. So there's a lot of assumptions being made when people say Crustle and Flygon produce similar amounts of avocados. That's true in the White Room. But Crustle, because it's producing it from both ingredient productivity and skill productivity, it spreads itself thin and requires more sub-skills, because if you want to get the same boost to the Crustle's productivity, you're going to also need a skill trigger sub-skill to boost its total productivity by the same amount as just what getting a single ingredient finding productivity or sub-skill on the Flygon takes. So, that's my little mini writ there, and why saying that they produce the same amount is not a very fair comparison. I'm interested in seeing how the ranking went between Reddit and Discord. Okay. Okay. You don't have meals enabled when looking at this view. It's unfair to Butterfree. Otherwise, I wish that in Pokedex functionality there was a way to set certain Pokemon to sneaky snack, because I wouldn't want to sneaky snack all of them, but there are certain ones that I would sneaky snack, like Arbok. Arbok should sneaky snack. Altaria should sneaky snack. Raticate should, especially when they have like Favorite Berry. But then, like, other Pokemon, I wouldn't want to. But right now, it's just broken up by specialty. If I enable Sneaky Snacking, though, it doesn't change around too much. The placements still stay similar. Oh, gosh, where is Sneaky Snacking? Oh, there it is. Inventory, always full. Let's see. How does it change things? Does it change things, or do I have to refresh the page? I know sometimes with Sneaky Snacking, you have to refresh the page. Berry Specialists. And fully evolved. Butterfree still ranks pretty lowly. Oh, wait. Favorite Berry. All berries. I'm so glad they have that button. It actually ranks a little bit lower when you sneaky snack them. But, like, Houndoom hurts when you sneaky snack it, because it actually likes its main skill. So, yeah. Raise your hand if you put a gold free in a butter free. Okay. I've been going hard into cooking power up and ingredient magnet for Monday cooking. Oh yeah, I mean, it does have strength. It's just I don't like it. I don't like the strategy. Too unreliable. I think if you fill the pot with tails, well, but how many people have that many tails? Adds a lot of combined with Dedenne, over 100k. Yeah, see, but I can push like 500k with a berry bomb, I think. I'd have to redo the math on that. Well, let's see. Ice berries, I know that I get more than like 100 off of each one. 999 is theoretically the maximum. It's off of one Pokemon, you can get like 99,000-ish. I don't know how much my berries actually come out to be in strength. That's just a rough, very quick calculation. I don't know how long you'd have to build a berry bomb to actually get that, but there are other methods of strength carryover that are more reliable, take less RNG, and honestly yield comparable, if not more amounts of strength, which is why I'm not the biggest fan of it. I will say berry bombing, though, is one of the most heavily expensive tactics. I also am a fan of strength carryover by meal prep, bag space prep, which is not... That's another form of strength carryover that's a little bit more difficult. Well, not difficult. It's not difficult. That's the point. And it's also way more reliable. It increases the reliability of your teams. So there are just other things that I do in meal prep that I value a lot more than the build up everything for one Monday morning breakfast, and then if it doesn't go well, then I just got half the value. Half the value out of what I was expecting. Because I was expecting a crit. Not easy. Yeah, it makes more user friendly. Yeah. There's a lot of reasons why I like Flygon more than Crustle. Crustle does work. It can work if it's what you catch that's good, but it's a lot more it's a lot more difficult to justify the investment on because it's more expensive and requires a rarer array of sub-skills. Although also it doesn't necessarily need the monolith, but it kind of really wants it, so there's a lot of questions there. You think a Trico is skill trigger on Berry Finance tutorial? I mean, it's okay. I mean, it's a pretty solid Pokemon, honestly, but I personally probably want more, but I'm also a bit picky with berry specialists at this stage of the game, so consider where you're at. Flygon might be more free-to-play friendly since it is focused on leveling to 60. Crustle is more premium friendly because you can dump seeds into it and get good output at 30. That is true if you're able to, if these guys are at level 30 and you just dump seeds into them, yeah, it's going to be a lot better. But, I don't know. I mean, even at this point, though, with the... Well, but at that stage, you might be better to have Skill Trigger M. I don't know. Equal rarity sub-skills looks like the Flygon still does perform better for the avocados. From this quick comparison here. Okay, Vaporeon Heracross for filling up the bag on Sunday. Thing is, why fill up a bag of random ingredients? I guess this is where one of my biases come into play, but I'm a very big prepper, and I have literally developed to the single-digit numbers of, like, I need this exact amount of bag space used for this. This set amount of bag space used for this. Random ingredients don't fit into that plan. And I think that if you are really, really trying to min-max the game, I think that's a very powerful tactic. And I think that you'd probably think the same way for a lot of things. That's my form of strength carryover. So using random ingredients with Vaporeon Heracross, just fill it up with the ingredients you know you're going to need with the ingredient specialist, not with just whatever Vaporeon decide you're getting that day. Oh, yeah, someone... I should have just read the next comments. One of you guys already responded to that. I usually get ingredients for a few of all the top meals by chance, then need a few mag procs per meal. Oh, yeah. Which is why I'm not asleep right now. I've been experimenting with ingredient draw for emergency Sunday bag prep, but needs a lot of seeds. Ingredient draw is a weird skill. I have zero experience actually using it, although I do have a phenomenal Murkrow that I could theoretically use. But it would obviously take a lot of investment. Mine's like Help Speed M, Skill Trigger M, and a Skill Trigger Up Nature. It's a really good one. I wish it had Helping Bonus to consider using it more. I've been more convinced to use Helping Bonus more lately, but either way, yeah. But also, it's like, I don't know, I think it's a very difficult skill to use, so I'm not really trying to build around it. I'm doing this so I can push a ton of strength on Monday and then run shard farmers all week. Just fair. Monday morning strength is the most powerful strength, which is why strength carryover is a good thing. Reddit tier list comparison. Okay, yeah. Let me make a quick side by side here. Let me pull up Google Draw and I'll post them both in since I have both the images. That's how I'll do this so that we can actually have a side by side. I don't want to show you guys my browsing Google or my browsing through my drive. You guys don't see how disorganized it is. Actually, we'll do it in a spreadsheet. Gotta make it Velociraptor Classic. Spreadsheet. We can paste images in here. Okay, so this is the Reddit tier list. I definitely have this downloaded once already, but I'll download it again because I don't know where it is in my files. Okay, download image. There you go. Okay, let's insert these images. Insert image overcells. I'll pull it up here real quick. So, here's my tier list. Okay, there we go. It's in the spreadsheet. Let's expand this a little bit. Actually, we kind of want them to be on both on one screen, okay? And then we'll insert another image. Which mine is, I will tell you this, mine is a lot more S tier Pokemon than the one that was based off survey data. So, here is the one that was the result when I polled the internet. All my viewers in the Discord and on Reddit as well, for y'all's thoughts on the Pokemon, ranking them 1 to 6. Basically, 1 representing F, 2 representing D. Really, I should have done it from like 0 or like 0.5 to 6.5. I want to be a bit more fair. Because I think what we're seeing here and is I made it that it rounded to the nearest whole number for their ranking. Well, that's not really 100% fair, because that means that the range of what's considered S tier based off of the community rankings is 5.5 to 6.0, which is a half a ranking average like things. Meanwhile, A tier was 4.5 to 5.5, 1.0 rank coverage. So like the range of A is double the range of S, and like the range of D is double the range of F. So like the rankings is kind of take it with a grain of salt, I guess, is what I'm kind of trying to say. But I made this tier list that was just comprised data from what everybody did. What are some comparisons? I mean, the 3 Pokemon that were ranked by the community as S tier, I also ranked as S tier. So that's one consistent thing. As for A tier Pokemon, I mean, what's one Pokemon that, I wonder what the most interesting one that's like different is. Like Swalot, A versus S tier. F tiers, the community really hated on Wobbuffet. I do think it's bad, but not as bad as the community thinks. Because I think that people haven't realized that it got a boatload of buffs. Although I think all those boatload of buffs just brought it from F tier to D tier. It's one of the most buffed mons in the game in like terms of how many buffs it has received. Still doesn't make it good. You can give something a boatload of buffs, but if it still doesn't make it good, then it still doesn't make it good. Sableye got hard and stomp. That's probably the biggest thing. Yeah, one interesting thing that I thought with the survey results, people ranked Lucario higher than Sableye. Here's the thing, the way that I did this thing, it was just like, okay, rank it how you feel it's based off of. I didn't want people to take too much time on it. So people probably just were like, oh, Sableye, that's 16 pips, not worrying about. And it was filled out by 243 people. I had 243 responses. I bet you a lot of people, there's probably some negativity towards 16 pip Pokemon here because of that aspect and like the rarity of the Pokemon. So you're probably going to see a lot of bias against 16 pip Pokemon that I was intentionally trying to go out of my way to avoid being biased against. I was trying to go out of my way to be like, well, I don't want to consider the 16 pip problem here because it makes it a lot more complicated of a comparison. So like Mimikyu. Mimikyu I put in S tier. What the community put it in B tier. But Braviary also B tier. That's interesting to me that they put it in the same tier, worse than Mimikyu, actually. But then, Sceptile Whip in S tier, of course. Why is Titan lower than Meow? I think a lot of people really like Meow, specifically because of the cooking power-up as well. Which is actually kind of why Meowscarada is higher on mine as well. It's higher on both. Sableye's in the game? That's a lot of people's reaction to talking about Sableye. Yeah, Sableye's in the game, but he's a top hollow and Greengrass expert exclusive. He doesn't spawn anywhere else. And because he's a 16 pip Pokemon, he's a single stage, he's a lot more rare. Which means even when you are there, you don't encounter him that often. So it's probably one of the rarest non-legendary Pokemon in the entire game. Which is, I think it is the only, like, oh, Onyx is also kind of a bit up there. But, yeah. It's crazy rare, despite being kind of just... It's decent at what it does, but it's strictly worse than Gulpin, or than Swalot, which Gulpin's a 5-pip option, so it's like, why would you ever try to hunt it? Is the big question. I think Wobbuffet deserves the extra hate because there are already better Psychic E4E healers in Gardevoir and Cress, better Energizing Cheer healers, so it has literally no niche. See, I can come up with a niche for it. If you were to pair, Wobbuffet with, Gardevoir, and because you don't have a crest yet. You don't have a crest because you're probably never going to catch a good crest because it's stupid rare. You run it with Gardevoir. Theoretically, it can spot heal a Pokemon that's struggling. Gardevoir is not going to be very good at spot healing specific Pokemon that are struggling. And they're both Psychic type, yes. But, like, it can do something. I'm not saying that something is good. But that's technically what Energizing Cheer Pokemon are good at. It's just such a niche application that, like, I don't know if I could ever be convinced to use one. But I don't think it is deserving of the worst mod in the game, because genuinely, if it is that bad, let me tell you, then Leafeon is that bad. Like, Slowking and Slowbro, well, okay, they have tails at least going for them, but, like, Leafeon is also that bad. Togedemaru also, like, no, that's a kind of a different comparison. But the Energizing Cheer family of Pokemon, I think all are right alongside each other. I don't think there is any difference in their viability, because they all proc about the same amount. You can't really have it two ways. If Slowking is in D tier, Wobbuffet's in D tier. If Leafeon's in D tier, Wobbuffet's in D tier. Like, that's my thoughts on it, at least. It's definitely better than Umbreon. Yeah, that's also the thing. Umbreon, what the heck? Umbreon being put in... Everybody, I mean, everyone does recognize how bad the Energizing Cheer Pokemon are, but what? Umbreon? No, this was averaged ratings across people. I think that's just evolution bias. People love evolutions. I think some people used Umbreon, and I think they just ranked it a little bit higher because it seems good in theirs. But honestly, if it's something that you use and level up, it's going to contribute something. The question is the opportunity cost in this game. Then again, the berry difference is not nothing. Guard eating Wobbuffet's breakfast, lunch, and dinner is just rude. People go Umbreon hard. I know I would rate it because ingredients and the fact people keep sending me Wobbuffet candy, they need to stop. See, that's more just personal hatred. That's nothing based in numbers or actual strength of the Pokemon. I think that if you were to try to use any of the Energizing Cheer Pokemon, they would all have about equal viability. Because you're not looking for it for the berries. You're looking for it for the skill, in theory. That's what they're really contributing. I have berry fighting S Umbreon. I thought it was a good option since its skill base is high AF. I think Umbreon is too high, but I guess it has Darkrai synergy. Oh, in the community rankings? When you update the Dream Shard calc, can you put the total estimated shards per week? Yeah, for if you follow the plan. If you're... Yeah, I definitely could do that. I actually think I was toying around with putting that in already as it was. But yeah, I'm going to be updating it eventually, so I'll make sure to include something like that. But yeah, what are some other interesting outcomes? I wonder where's something that I heavily ranked differently than the community did. Let's see. I mean, Crest is ranked quite a bit lower, but I also understand that's probably in part due to expense. And also lack of usership. I feel like a big thing is if people use a Pokemon a lot, they're going to naturally rank it higher than it should be. Just because they have personal experience with it. Meanwhile, and it means they probably rolled something with good stats where it is usable. Meanwhile, everything else that they don't use, they only have the theoretical idea of them and the numbers they're running in calculations, the numbers that I'm running in calculations, and other community members are running in calculations. So it's like you're going to get different outcomes because of that. Like, you're going to get different biases because your perception of the Pokemon that you rolled amazing stats on is going to be a lot different. I kind of struggled with Alolan Ninetales, because I was just like, I've run all the calcs on my Alolan Ninetales. But I know that not every Alolan Ninetales is my Alolan Ninetales. Weavile, kinda. Yeah, I ranked Weavile pretty highly. Yeah, up in S tier. Yeah, Weavile, I think, is a matter of it's ranked a lot lower on the community ranking because, Swampert kind of does the same thing while also not being 16 pip. So I think that's why they kind of ranked it lower. Wiggly B tier. Okay, yeah, that's a pretty big difference. I think that's because of the whole competing aspect. Also, people putting Sylveon in A tier when Wiggly's down in B tier. They're basically the same Pokemon, just with different ingredient lists. Their proc rate is so similar. They're both fairy type, but yet people put it like, is the fact that it has milk that valuable over having honey? Like, yeah, I don't know. I find it interesting that I kind of put Darkrai a little bit. Well, did I? No, I put Darkrai a little bit lower in the overall. Like, if you're to compare, like line to line, although not that much lower, really. Absol C tier. Honestly, I can see the case for that. Magnezone difference. Oh yeah, Magnezone's one that has a. I'm guessing people ranked it higher than I did. Yeah, up in B tier versus D tier for me. It's not a D tier mon. It's pod expanders have the widest variance in how valuable the skill can be. Whose list is on the right? Here, I'll. Me. Community. There, they're labeled now. We'll zoom out a little bit more. Oh, no. Darn it. Okay. Okay. I prefer Wiggly's ingredients. Fair enough. I honestly haven't paid quite enough attention to their ingredient list. I don't really think much about it. I know Wiggly has milk and oil. Or not milk and oil, honey and oil, just because I used to use one. And I would kind of build around that a little bit. I guess evolutions have milk cacao sausage, because the same as a Blastoise. But I don't... What's Wiggly's C ingredient? Do I know it? Is it milk? No, I think it's cacao. I think it's cacao, because I'm pretty certain mine's ABC. Anyway. Yeah, Reddit on the right. I definitely... I wonder what's the thing that has the... Honestly, like, there are a lot of things that I actually quite a bit agree with the Reddit. But my Espeon being Mono Milk is quite palpable. I love that my Espeon is Mono Milk as well. Ah, yes, the Mon of milk and honey. Honey, oil, cacao. I was right, cacao. Okay, good. I find weird Shuckle's ability is energy for everyone S. Yeah, berry juice. We'll see how that plays out. I'm interested to see how Shuckle plays out. But yeah, my tier list compared to the community rankings one. I should probably move chat for now, so that people can actually see the tier lists. I could probably also move my face too, so I don't block it at all. I can block the picture of my dog that's up there in the top right corner. That's my email. My email's photo since I was like, I don't even know when. I was going to like 8th grade. I don't know. But anyway. Yeah, what's the biggest discrepancy? I should go through and figure out what the single biggest difference is between my... Where did the community rank Cramorant? That might be a big one. No, they only put it in B tier and I had an A. Speaking of power for next week, Lons, we got Shuckle. Yeah, Shuckle's coming. I would say, I'm assuming he's going to be A tier. Like, the way that I was explaining it earlier, I think Shuckle's going to be A tier. Because I think it's going to be good for, like, strength carryover. It's got a niche that no other Pokemon's going to be able to do. Just in the description of its main skill. So I think Berry Juice is going to be very valuable in that sense. You don't even necessarily have to have a good one. Just one to be willing to run in those off weeks. But if it also turns out to actually be good at energy recovery, then it may be an S tier Pokemon. I doubt that's going to be the case, because I bet you the devs are going to look at this berry juice aspect and be like, that's super powerful, and then nerf the energy for everyone aspect of it into the ground, as they kind of did with Cresselia. I guess they actually did really well with Cresselia. I'm expecting them to do the same sort of thing with Shuckle. So I'm expecting it to not be nearly as good for healing, but have that nice secondary effect. And it's probably in comparisons going to be weaker even when you account for the berry juice for overall healing, but the nice ability to choose exactly who the energy goes to from the berry juice might make it have a little bit of extra value. But I'm going to guess it's going to be more A tier because it's going to be a more unreliable healer. Probably. But we don't know. Interesting you made this list before Shuckle. Is there something small and impactful coming this year? Well, okay. I always just do it around the 6-month mark. If I waited until the next Mon was out, then I would have only like a couple day gaps usually before they announce another Pokemon, and then would have to wait until the next Mon is out. So I always just say I'm doing it, and then I do it when I do it. If there's another Pokemon coming out soon, we'll have to see when it comes out where it gets ranked. But I'll update my tier list and add it, share it with the community when I actually think of a spot to put Shuckle. But I'm not going to do this whole live stream over again, just because of the addition of one Pokemon. I'd love another healer option. I've got a good Gardevoir and got a good Pawmont. Looking for a Sylveon or maybe Shuckle with health bonus and skill level. Sleep XP bonus. That's an interesting sub-skill to be looking for on it. I can understand the purpose, though. Maybe like a daycare team. Generally speaking, I say that Sleep XP bonus is not a very useful sub-skill. Because it'd be better to just run another Pokemon that you want to gain the experience on. But if it's for your healer for off weeks, I can see a purpose in that, because you're probably going to be running the healer anyway. So there's a thing with that. An idea. I'm not going to say it's a good idea because I don't know how much I really agree with that statement, but it's an interesting thing to be looking for. But I will warn you, health bonus and sleep XP bonus, that's just as rare as berry finding S and helping bonus. So lock in for the long haul if that's what you're looking for. Because berry finding S health bonus, we all know, is a very difficult thing to find. Exactly. Yeah, I can see the idea. I just don't think it's going to have as big of an impact as what you necessarily think it will be. Sleep XP bonus it does make a difference. I'd be lying if I said it didn't. And I can appreciate the idea and creativity. But anyway. Any last thoughts on rankings for my chart? Anyone want to try and dispute any of my rankings and convince me to move anything? If I hear nothing else from chat, I may end the recording here and then just make it a typical live stream until I decide to go to bed, which I'll maybe just end the whole live stream after I'm done with this. So, anybody have any more cases they want to make for any Pokemon here? I'll give it 2 minutes. Golduck is double S. Yeah, I'm not making a double S. And if I was, it wouldn't be for Golduck. Not that Golduck's bad. It's not bad. I put it in S tier. Because my opinions, I guess, yeah. Solid, assuming you don't like pot expansion. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Crustle A tier can get close to carrying Groton. That is true. Why Christmas Hat Pikachu solo? Because it's just... Biggest reason why is because Persian and Christmas Hat Pikachu both kind of suck. Like, really, really suck in terms of their shard output. Comparative to other shard options. And Christmas Hat Pikachu is better than Persian technically, assuming same skill seed investment, but I don't want to put an extra skill seed into a Christmas Hat Pikachu. So that's why it's a little bit lower. than Persian on my chart. Also, it takes Pikachu candies to level, which can be used for Raichu or Halloween Hat Pika, which are both much better targets for your candy. Gourgeist up to 8, even up the A tier a bit. You know, I gotta consider pancakes and roleplay pumpkin stew. How many? I have to look at what eggs are all in. Because maybe, honestly. Let's see. Cooking. Recipes. Eggs. Because if eggs are in like 2 of the 3 top tier meals, then I think... Because the only one that I might beat out is Blissey, but I have to see... See, pumpkins are in the same Scary Face pancakes, so... It's not in the roleplay pumpkaboo stew. But I think that the Blissey is just as necessary as the Gourgeist in some ways. Because I think eggs are just as meta-relevant as pumpkins in that regard. I guess roleplay pumpkaboo stew... That's its own thing, but also that's more of a non-good camp ticket user ranking. Dedenne can make more strength than Sceptile. True, but also it's... You're not going to really be running it... Well, it depends on how you're using it. It depends on the Dedenne, it depends on the Sceptile. Because theoretically, okay... Let's see. I'm clicking through these really, really fast. Let's see. If we have a really good Dedenne. Let's just see the comparison here. A really, really solid Dedenne for triggers. We're just going to ignore health bonus here. The best Dedenne is getting you 77.8% crit chance, or it's making your meals 1.5857 times stronger on average if you're running it consistently. Which, if you're trying to maximize strength across a week, that's probably the way that you're doing it. Because otherwise you're not... Or if you're trying to maximize meal strength, or Dedenna's output, technically running it longer is going to get you more strength from Dedenne, even though it does have diminishing returns. So, 1.5857 divided by 1.1714 is a 35% boost to meals. I guess then the question really would be, if you are making the best possible meal, how much is a boost of 35% going to be? So, let's see. Why did I go to ingredients? Recipes, dishes. The best meal, level 65, guacamole and chips. We're not going to account for area bonus at all. If we multiply this by that... Well, okay, let's first do 84041 times 1.1714. That's that number. Times 1.3. I'll round it up to 36%. And then subtract off the one that we had before. Okay. Oh, darn it. I did that wrong. I wish I had this calculator like on the stream for you guys to actually see my calculations, but it just doesn't make sense with the way my keyboard's set up. Okay. Numbers come out to be about 35,441 strength per meal. Spread over the course of a week. That's 3 times per day. Times 7 days a week. That's 744,000 strength. Reopening the whole tasty chance debate. I'll vouch for the original ordering of Sceptile over Dedenne. Maybe Dedenne pulls ahead during M20 runs, but on a regular basis, IDK. So, this Dedenne, maximum output, assuming you're just consistently making just the strongest meal. Now, granted, I'm not accounting for any filler here. Is roughly producing about 744,000 strength through the tasty chance over the course of a week. That's about 100k strength per day. If we were to just round that up to assume for like filler and whatnot, Maybe 800k strength per week. Now that's without area bonus, which means this Sceptile would have to honestly be kind of insane. I will be honest about that. We do get it to level 65. Max level main skill. Let's assume the best possible sub-skills, just because that's the comparison we're making here. Of all this. I guess the comparison does come in that Dedenne can produce more, but that's also, remember, best possible potential. Like, highest possible potential that you possibly could get running Dedenne consistently, when you probably aren't running Dedenne consistently because that's not really that optimal to do. After a certain number of procs, you probably need something else to swap on, because the Dedenne loses insane amounts of value on the later procs. It's really... Helper whistle's too high. You shouldn't run Dedenne forever. Sceptile isn't so limited. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, can it theoretically produce more strength? I guess if you have the best possible Dedenne and you're making the best possible meal, like, at the highest possible level, there's potential there, I guess. Oh, wait, was I using just... I was using pancakes. Which actually, pancakes aren't the best possible meal. The best possible dessert, because that's what I had the settings set to. Either way, that's still just like... Oh, no, I was using 84041. Okay, that was the walk-in chips. Can you theoretically get more strength out of it? Yes. But I think in practice, most of the time, that's not going to be the case. Meanwhile, Sceptile is always good everywhere, and has the potential to do even more if you were to get Favored Grass. Also has the potential to get even more with Expert Mode Berry Boost of 2.4 times or 1.25 times. Meanwhile, Dedenne, yeah, you can get that stuff from the 1.25 times, but it's not going to be as impactful. Okay. Helper Whistle's too high. Okay. This is a very random comment, but I don't understand the whole idea. Like, I guess you didn't say that the fact that they're just helper whistles makes them worse, but like it referring to them as helper whistles comes off as just saying that they're just helper whistles makes them weaker. Helper whistles are powerful. That's instant helps. Like, that's 3 hours of productivity in one go. There is something to do there. Helper whistles in S tier could make you weak if you're a whale. That is only great during meal boost weeks. I disagree if you're making a strong wheel, or strong meal. Strong wheel. If you're making a strong meal, there still is some value there. I mean, if you're making that 84,000 strength meal, 84,000 times 1.85 for the area bonus, that's 155,000. If the single proc increases your average number of crits over the course of the first 18 meals by 1.8. That's like getting 1.8 extra meals worth of productivity. That's 279,000 for running for just like a few, potentially a few minutes. Because you only have to run it 2 to 3 times, or no, you have to run it like 5 times-ish. Not quite 5. You'll need to run it like 4 times for a single proc. And you get roughly 280k strength. If you're pushing strength, that there's nothing that can compete with that for such a small amount of time run for such a large amount of strength. That's the biggest strength in it, honestly, is that you don't have to run it for long and get a pretty significant increase in strength without having to run it for very long. If you run it consistently, you're kind of ruining its point, or the strongest aspect about it. But meanwhile, getting the second and third procs can be valuable, can be useful. But you need to be... That's... The second and third procs of Dedenne is only powerful in the weeks that there are meal boosts. Usually. Unless you're a really, really cooking focused player. Anyway, I think there being more Tasty Chance now is a valid reason for Sep over Dedenne. That's another fair point, because there's way more access. Nothing can do what Sceptile can do. nothing, like, yes, everything can do what Sceptile can do, but not even close to the realm of Sceptile. If we go back to that Pokedex, it's just like the only thing that competes is Cresselia, and that's just because the calculator assumes a full psychic team, which doesn't make any sense for them to assume. I wish I could set teammates in here, because that would change things heavily. Like, okay, I guess it doesn't perform as well as these guys in a general setting. Remember, it's if we want berry specialty, select all berries. Like, oh, Darkrai as well. Darkrai is also weird, but like the second best is Mimikyu, 10,000 strength behind. Well, by Braviary, Salamence, the first actual berry specialist, is 22,000 strength behind. What? Okay. Swap Cresselia and Gardevoir. It's more free to play friendly. The thing is, yes, it absolutely is. I'm not gonna ever argue that point. But it's really only by 2 seeds, and I was trying to avoid biscuit cost when making my tier list as a aspect for investment. Kick croissant, please. What? I'd rather have a cracked Cresselia. That's another thing. You don't need a great Dedenne. You just need a Dedenne that can proc once and then get off the team. Like, just needs to proc once. Is all it needs. Swap or Ben Brown might just be upset that whistles don't trigger Golduck's skill. Persian too high? Wait, Persian too high. Did someone say Umbreon too high? What? Can we add Chansey to the list? Don't know if you mentioned it. So I didn't add Chansey to the list specifically because Chansey, and I addressed this in the actual recording of the main video, Chansey and Blissey functionally are the same Pokemon. They just have different costs associated with choosing Chansey versus Blissey. But they do the same thing to basically the same level of effectiveness. So where you see Blissey is right where I would put Chansey, because they're effectively the same. It wouldn't change any rankings, so I felt it wasn't really worth putting on the tier list, just because they're like the same Pokemon. But yes, it is a viable Pokemon. It probably could be on here, but I just thought that'd be boring to say, Blissey and Chansey, the same thing, just Blissey's space occupies both. 2,000 hours Chansey still being better than Blissey. Yeah, but not by much. And especially when you account for the fact that Blissey has a better inventory and gets a free main skill level, which Energy for Everyone like is kind of useful. It's not the most useful on a non-skill specialist, funnily enough, because it's never going to be good enough to actually keep the team energized unless you have multiple. So because of that, you still are forced to run an Energy for Everyone healer, which if you do that, then the Energy for Everyone on the Blissey is just kind of excessive. But yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, thank you. They're basically the same, so that's why I didn't bother putting it on there. But yeah, that's where I'm gonna settle it. I think I'll post these images to the Discord of the I'll post the community rankings, my personal tier list, and then my personal tier list after you guys have chatted me and tried to convince me to move some things around. I moved a little bit. Espeon, Sudowoodo, A tier. You know... Yeah, you know what, actually, I can kind of agree with that. I don't know what... I have to go back and rewatch the video to see what I was thinking. Because honestly, they are pretty solid. But, do I think they're better than Skeledirge? Do we get into the Skeledirge discussion? Is Skeledirge going to be controversial again? Probably not, but... Pod expanders should be higher. I hate the pod expanders when doing these tier lists because they could go almost anywhere depending upon who you talk to. It's all about playstyle, and I just don't like ranking them anymore because I don't think there's a fair way to rank them. I don't think there's a fair way to rank them because there are too many variables to consider, more so than with every other Pokemon in the game. There's already a lot of variables to consider, but like there's so many playstyle variables on those Pokemon specifically that they just naturally end up down there. I would definitely put Skeledirge lower. It's overhyped. Lol, where's that kick? Oh gosh. See, Skeledirge is like, if you need apples, it's very good, and that's always. Last time Skeledirge was a controversial one. I don't know. Anyway, I'm getting very tired. It's been a while. I think I need to end the stream. Yeah. Hope everybody has a good night. Thank you for all tuning in. I'm gonna end the recording here.